I get an email quite often, and it's called a jump start. Many of you probably get it too. And Roger Souse is the author of these jump starts, and he had an interesting one I'd like to share with you this evening. Revelation chapter 4, verse 1. To kind of give you a little background to where we are here in chapter 4 of Revelation. Chapter 1, we see the writer of this book, John, listening to what Jesus wants to reveal to him. Words, and what's a little unique about this book is pictures. Just 46 times is the phrase, I saw or I looked and saw. A picture. And I think we've all heard this little cliche, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Sharon was showing me pictures of their trip, and it was hard to describe the way it looked. And I want us to think about a little bit how we would describe something there's no words to describe. A picture of heaven is where we're looking at here in chapter 4, verse 1. Chapters 2 and 3 are the 7 churches of Asia. And he begins chapter 4, verse 1 after looking at these churches and listening to the problems and good things and life being a Christian. Chapter 4, verse 1, after these things, after what we just listened to the churches, I looked. John says, I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. Who would not want to look through that door? To look into heaven. And the rest of chapter 4 is the description of that throne scene, and a scene that may be hard to put in words of how beautiful and glorious this scene is around God. And a couple points he would like to make just in verse 1 right here. The word heaven is not used with the small letter H, but with the capital letter H. We see that throughout the Bible when something is important is said, and when it's capitalized, gives it even just that much more meaning. To look through a door into heaven. Secondly, God does not want us to not have a glimpse of heaven. That's probably one of the biggest things people may have problems with is what happens after you die. There's no one coming back to tell us about that. We see stories and see movies of someone who's seen the light and come back, but really it's nothing that someone could tell us about. And here John gets the opportunity to look and get a glimpse into heaven. And I think that's something we can look forward to and take comfort in, is we know a little bit, God prepares us for how wonderful heaven will be. How wonderful the throne scene will be. How wonderful it will be to be wearing a crown. We that are saved one day will be wearing a crown. We will be nobility. We will be something special. He wants us to know that. He wants us to understand that, how wonderful. I told David, it's one of my favorite songs he just led, Sing to Me of Heaven. I didn't even tell him what the lesson was about tonight. But how appropriate to sing about heaven, and how he gives us glimpses of what heaven will be. This picture these, John, it's just hard for him to describe that throne scene later on in chapter 4 of the different things. It talks about an eagle. I was talking to Sharon about that today. When you think of an eagle, what do you think of? You might think of his bald head, but to me, it's that 6 or 7 or 8 foot wingspan. And this eagle had 6 wings. Even more prominent, this thing you think of in an eagle, of this majesty. We just saw one at the Fort Worth Zoo a month ago. And it was just, I've seen it before. It's still amazing every time I see it. And I think God helps us to have a feel or for what we're looking forward to one day. And lastly, the last point he makes is the future belongs to God. John got a glimpse of heaven, of what it will look like one day, and we have that glimpse of our future. Isn't it nice to know what we're doing next week? We plan trips, we go on vacation, we do things, we look forward to that and get there, and it is amazing. And we can have that same feeling today. And that's why I wanted to kind of jumpstart our middle of our week here to think about our heaven that's been promised to us and the hope that we have. Do you have that hope? Are you a Christian and have that hope? If you're not a Christian, you don't have that yet. We'd love to help you out with that, or to pray on your behalf if you have sin in your life, to make your life right, to keep that hope in your life. If there's anything we can do, please come as we stand and sing.